Lost Art with Andrew Cox, retired Master Gunnery Sergeant. thelostart.podbean.com. Get some merchandise and help support the podcast and getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. Now on all major podcast platforms. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be a guest, tell your veteran story, discuss your veteran business or organization. Email The Lost Art with Andrew Cox at gmail.com. Andrew Cox, a Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. See the project story at tillvalhallaproject.com. Thanks for tuning in. Please enjoy the podcast that's giving a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox.
Okay. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we'll be having a fireside chat. But before we get into it, are you enjoying the podcast? And be sure to go to the website. That's thelostart.podbean.com. Go check it out, see what we got going on. There is a merchandise tab. You can go ahead and click on that. There are a fireside chat merchandise. There's the Lost Art merchandise. There is now the Bearded Veteran Brotherhood merchandise. There's all kinds of stuff, but help support us and getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. I also want to give a shout out to the Till Valhalla Project. They are doing incredible things. If you don't know anything about it, go to their website. That's tillvalhallaproject.com. Go check it out. And if there's any way you can help them, please do so. All right, with that, I got the crew, and we'll go ahead and go round robin. Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing great out here in Southern California, except for once again, politicians, politics, taxes, prices. You just can't beat Southern California. The weather is perfect. Even this weekend, the MCS Miramar is putting on the air show, showing our military might and power and expression of that. I'm sure the residents of San Diego that live near Miramar aren't the happiest, but that's the price you pay for living next door to the world's finest. And that's right. And I tell them that's the sound of freedom.
Yeah, that's the price of freedom right there.
Know it. But other than that, like I said, I pray for everyone with their bad weather that's going on the East Coast there. And I'll be flying to Florida tomorrow morning to Jacksonville. And apparently they didn't get hit very hard at all by the storm. So
nice.
My flight,
well, that'll be good.
My trip is still on, but I fly into Atlanta first. And did Atlanta get hit?
There was flooding.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta did, but I think you're okay. I don't think you're
got
much to worry about. Yeah.
I'll be good at the airport.
As long as the plane can take
other than the fact you're flying into the Atlanta airport, I'm sure you'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Delta has a good first class lounge there.
Yes, exactly.
Very nice. All right, sounds good. Mark, Vick, how you doing?
Good. We had a little disappointment this weekend because of the hurricane. My high school band was supposed to play for a football game for the first time in the school history. Canceled. But in talking to the kids, I was like, well, do you guys want to maybe we put all the work in to learn the school fight song and the drum section, learn some cadences to play in the stands. And I'm like, you guys want to maybe play at the next home game? And they're like, oh yeah, we put in the work. So I got to reach out to the parents and see if the parents are okay with it. Cause it will be an additional public performance that wasn't on the calendar. So we'll see. But I think we'll probably wind up doing it. Our next home game is November 1st, and it's also senior night that night. So maybe second best to homecoming as far as occasions go. But we weren't hit too bad. Power went out for a few hours, and but we had a generator, so we didn't lose anything in the freezer or fridge. Today's cigar is a Fuente Opus X. The highly coveted Opus X. They're rare cigars. They're released in limited editions. Opus X is known for their cedar flavors, lots of leather, and some spice. I've had this cigar in my humidor probably 10 years. I bought two of them. Usually when you go into a cigar shop, they'll have them for limited. And when I mean limited time, I mean they'll have like a box for a day because they're always sold out.
Wow.
So like if you go into a cigar shop and you see Opus X, usually it's a limit 2 per customer, kind of thing. So I bought two of these like 10 years ago, and they've just been sitting in my humidor, aging nicely. So for March safe from the hurricane, so mine not smoking open sex. Yeah.
Wow. So with it aging as long as it did, 10 years in your humidor, like, is that going to affect the flavor and stuff, or?
Only minimally, it's not much, but I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll richen the flavor up a little bit, but not much. But
Okay.
it's a testament to me, because you really have to pay attention to your humidor. Like, you have
Oh,
to
yeah, you do.
maintain good conditions for that many years, because if you forget to change it or put any oil in your humidifier, or make sure the humidity is at 70% ish, then it's ruined. And you can't re-humidify a cigar once it's dried out. But we'll see. I think everything. I mean, I've been pretty meticulous about my cigars over the years. So, yeah, and I'm enjoying it with a root beer.
Nice. Okay. I like it.
Oh, I
All
freeze.
right, Mike. Yeah, you're frozen. It's okay. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good. We survived a storm. We were lucky in this area where I'm at in Southwest Georgia. We didn't get what they got further south in Valdosta, in that area, and what a lot of others have gotten, even east and north of us, going into Tennessee and North Carolina, South Carolina. So we're doing good. Spent the weekend doing chores that I have had on my to-do list that I hadn't done, and priming and painting the wall that I had to dig out. I think I talked about it several months ago. Off of our bedroom, the shower, the valve in the wall was leaking, and had to cut out the drywall and do all that, and drywalled it up and mudded it. And of course, Mike's like, I'll do that next week. Yeah, next week was 5 months ago, and I just did it this weekend. So,
hey, but you got it done. That's the important part.
Yeah, I got it done. Yeah, I'm disappointed in myself. I was like, I used to be really good at being task oriented, and I was kind of my wife's out of town on a cruise, and I was like, oh man, she'll be so surprised when she gets back and that wall's all painted and everything. Man, I'm going to get all kinds of accolades for that one. It's like, no, it's something I should have had done long before this weekend. So, but, hey, I got it done. That's all that matters. Time. I still got to do the baseboard, but I've got everything with that. Maybe I'll get that done by Christmas. We'll see. But
yeah. Well, hey, Christmas is a good goal. I like it. Yeah. All right. Very nice. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and jump in. Veteran news with Mark. Mark, you got anything for us?
I have a great one. I'm sure a lot of you have already heard of this one. It's called Tunnels to Towers. It was started in New York after 9/11. It was in memory of a firefighter named Stephen Sillers, who gave his life on that day. Inspired a lot of people on what he did. But a foundation was started, and it was initially started for like first responders and their health, and then the health concerns afterwards, the death benefits, the taking care of the kids of first responders who died. Then they expanded out to helping veterans, and they have a veterans program, and one of them is the smart homes, where they catastrophically injured veterans can apply for a grant, and they will be built a brand new home, all handicapped, accessible, and it's made to their dimensions, because of some people are, they're wheelchair only, so they need all that. The others have different, limbs that are missing or eyesight, things like that. So the house will be built to their specifications. And once again, the house is mortgage free, and it's a great program. They put on a lot of things. They also have a program to help homeless veterans or veterans that are in risk of becoming homeless. So
Mm-hmm.
someone's way behind on their rent for some reason, fall through the cracks. They need help with rent, first month's rent, hotel stay, things like that. This foundation, they have case managers that will handle emergency financial cases like that. So that they don't have veterans living in their cars, living out in the streets in tents, especially with veterans with children and families. It's a great organization.
Absolutely.
It's the number 2, T.org. It's a phenomenal.
T2T.
T2T.org. They're a phenomenal organization. So if you know any veterans that are like I said, catastrophically injured that don't know about this program, that are maybe living in their home of their own, that needs a lot of work, or they're renting a place because can't afford to buy a place. You got a veteran that's in jeopardy of getting kicked out of their place because of back rent, can't pay the bills like that. Get them over there. The number 2, T.org. And let's get the word out on that, and let's get veterans help.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a great organization that even helping the homeless as well. And that's a huge, I'd say a huge population of the homeless is veterans. And a lot of the veterans,
yes.
they don't really want to ask for help. And so it's, sometimes you got to go out and seek them out a little bit and say, hey, let us help you type of deal. But so if anybody out there knows any veterans that are homeless, this would be a good one to send them to as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Very nice.
My wife with the works for the Simplify America's Fund, and they help them where they can. But if something's outside their criteria, they'll recommend them over to the T2T. I do the same thing with the Wounded Warrior Project. If we'll pay what we can within our criteria, but if they still need other help, this is one of the resources that we give them.
And that's awesome that all the different organizations are actually kind of working hand in hand.
Definitely,
if you're passing them off, and
collaboration to help the warrior, the veteran, as much as possible.
That whole organization, Mark, wasn't it started by actually a spouse of a firefighter?
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's unbelievable what they've been able to do. I think they've even built like apartments for veterans too, to actually give them a place. I may be wrong. Maybe another organization that does great things, but for some reason I think it's them.
Very, very well could be.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what one unfortunately a terrible thing that happened created such an organization.
That is true. I know what he's trying to say. I'm sure he hears us because he always does when this happens. He'll be back.
It's a great story too, because
I hear you.
Steve basically was not on the island when the plane struck, so he ran through the tunnel to get onto Manhattan Island.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's why it's tunnel to towers, because he ran, and then every year
he responded.
During every year during 9/11 events, they walk his path that he took. There's a whole it's almost like a parade. It's almost like a parade now. Yeah.
And then all over the country on 9/11, they'll do they'll go to high-rise hotels or high-rise buildings, and they'll put all their gear. All the first responders put on all their gear and hike up 100 the steps.
Wow. No kidding.
Whatever the tallest building they can do.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
Yep.
Wow. Well, Mark, anything else?
That's all I have this week.
All right. Sounds
Veterans
good.
News.
All right. Did you guys happen to check out? I posted it late this past podcast, but did you check out your new spots, your intros? If you haven't, you got to check them out. They're pretty good. I must say so myself. I worked hard at it. My wife's like, did anybody notice? I'm like, no, nobody noticed yet. But anyways,
Great, man. You probably got me
it's
picking
pretty
my
cool.
nose or something. No, this is gonna be
Yeah.
awesome.
Only you. Everybody else was all right. Speaking of guys that pick their nose, I'm working on my transitions, as you can tell. Let's do military news with Vic.
Well, great segue. Awesome. Thank you, as always.
Yep, you're
I
welcome.
forgot to mention, this cigar is what they call a Lancero. This is a petite Lancero because it's a little shorter than a Lancero. But Lanceros are usually about the length of a pencil and only a little bit larger around. The great thing about Lanceros is that all the flavor is in the wrapper of a cigar. So when you have a big fat cigar, you have more binder and filler by ratio than you do wrapper. On these thin cigars, you have more wrapper than binder and filler, or a higher ratio of wrapper to binder and filler. So they're like little flavor bombs, which is why I guess this as well, as well as other Lanceros are, they're just great savory cigars because there's so much flavor in them, and this one is not disappointing. Characteristic cedar. It's got a little bit of spice and a little bit more than I care for, but it's not a bad cigar. All right, so into military news. Inherent Resolve mission in Iraq and Syria is transitioning. So we all know that ISIS is still a thing. United States and Iraq have decided on a two-phase transition plan for the CJTF-OIR, which is the Combined Joint Task Force Operation Inherent Resolve. Operation in Iraq. In the first phase, the coalition's military mission in Iraq will end. So the coalition's military mission will end. This means coalition forces will withdraw from certain locations as Iraq and in Iraq as mutually determined. Transition periods in Iraq begin now and will end in September of next year. So people that are going to be pulling out of Iraq will be doing it over the next year. However, coalition nations and Iraq recognize that ISIS in Syria remains a significant threat to the region and pledge to continue working to ensure the enduring defeat of ISIS. Second phase looks to prevent the return of the ISIS terrorist threat in Syria. Iraq will follow the coalition to continue. Iraq will allow the coalition, quotes, to continue to support counter-ISIS operations in Syria from Iraq throughout the second phase of the transition until at least September of 2026. So we're still going to have a military presence there for at least two more years, probably beyond that.
Right.
Subject to conditions on the ground, and of course, obviously, consultations among future political leaders of Iraq and the United States. So everything could be for nothing, depending on who gets elected president. So yeah, but they basically recognize the United States recognizes that this is an opportunity. If we play nice with Iraq, that we might be able to maintain forces in Iraq and put up maybe something semi-permanent there. So yeah, there's that. Let's see what else we got.
Now we have. Correct me if I'm wrong. The embassy is still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So at least have that going. But we want to, much like, maybe not to the extent of Japan, but we want to be able to keep forces in that region.
Yes.
I would assume.
Aaron's not here, so I don't know about current events. I can touch on some. Has anybody heard about the dock worker strike that might be coming?
No.
So the dock workers union on the East Coast is planning on striking if the Port Authority union does not basically, what do you call it? Work with them, basically, So they're in negotiations now, and if negotiations fail, then the dock workers are going to go on strike.
No kidding. Wow.
Which is going to severely impact the United States economy, at least, east of the Mississippi. because it's the Gulf workers for the East Coast and the Gulf. I'm sorry, the port workers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So like we're talking like this is going to be a severe impact if they strike. And if they don't resolve their conflict soon, then this could go on as long as maybe as late as Christmas.
Well, that will also heavily impact the military, the Navy, because they're constantly utilizing the civilian workers.
Yes, but where this intersects with my AOR here, military bases, commissaries, and exchanges have been ordering more stock in weeks for anticipation of the looming port strikes that could shut down the ports in the East Coast and the Gulf Coast, like I just mentioned. The Defense Commissary Agency has taken steps into August to lessen the impact of possible disruptions. This includes increasing grocery orders for commissaries in Europe and Puerto Rico, which could be affected by the port work stoppage. Officials are also working with the industry sea lift carriers to make sure all book containers clear the port of Norfolk, Virginia before the end of September, before the strike. If the strike does happen, DECA, I don't know who that is preparing to be able to use military airlifts of priority products in Europe that include fresh beef, items such as baby formula, baby food, bread, hot and cold cereal, cheese, eggs, frozen juice, milk, frozen vegetables, and certain canned foods to keep the commissary stocked. So they might be sea lifting stuff in or airlifting stuff in for the commissaries.
Yeah, that's good though. I mean, they're at least planning ahead.
Yes.
I'm sure learning from previous shortages, especially with toilet paper. Hopefully they get that one right. But don't worry, we have plans for that. But that was a big one back. Everyone was scrambling to get toilet paper. I mean, it was crazy. That was back at the beginning of the COVID and all that stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, they're planning ahead. That's good.
Also, I heard that the West Coast dock workers and port authorities are like shipping companies are already starting to ship to the West Coast instead of the East Coast. And then they're basically going to be trucking products from the West Coast to the East Coast.
Ooh.
So yeah, stand by.
Well, prices are going to shoot through the roof.
In other news, spouses and vets are key to changing the broken narrative. A growing trend in paint. You guys, am I blocked? Dang it! None of you are moving.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Okay. Growing trend in painting a picture that military spouses and veterans are challenged and broken, and spouses and veterans themselves will be key to changing the narrative. Let's see. There is turning perception around toward a more positive view of the military experience could be the key in addressing issues of military spouse unemployment, veteran unemployment, as well as larger issues around recruiting and retention. According to Kevin, I'm not sure how to say his last name. I'll probably butcher it. Schmeigel, Schmiegel, Schmeigel. I don't know.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, a retired Marine Corps lieutenant colonel who is chief executive officer of Zero Mills, a social impact consulting firm. I don't know what that is, but to us, painting a picture that veterans and spouses and our families are broken and challenged isn't right. So basically, people are out there trying to change the narrative, and maybe we can. I don't know. It seems like one little tiny nonprofit may not make much of a difference, but I mean, at least their mission is noteworthy. But I think he's right to an extent. There is a negative connotation. Everybody thinks. I think in that story, let me see if I can find there was some statistics. Where'd he go? He said a Department of Defense statistic that 62% of young people think all veterans have a psychological disorder.
Wow.
Which according to them is infecting recruiting missions. Yeah. So
that's very interesting.
There may just be Marines that have a psychological disorder. I don't know. I mean, that's part of it from the start. I mean,
I think that we are the only normal ones. Everybody else is messed up.
absolutely.
See? Yeah.
Let's see. Since Aaron's not here, another current event story. Israel Hamas. Latest news. Israel military says it killed another high-ranking Hezbollah official. Israeli military says it has killed Nabil Kaouk. Sure. Another high-ranking Hezbollah official, a day after the Lebanese militant group confirmed the death of multiple commanders, including longtime leader Hassan Nasrallah. Sure. N16, whatever. This also came hours after an Israeli airstrike on northeastern Lebanon early Sunday killed 11 people. Israel says it's carrying out attacks on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. So they're taking the fight to the bad guys, and God bless them for doing it, man. That's what I love about Israel. You fuck with Israel, they'll park a tank on your front porch, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, they're pretty ruthless. They're not going to hold back. They're just going to let you have it.
Yeah.
So.
It's disappointing that the international stage has been almost condemning Israel for their stance on all this, which is just as disappointing.
Totally.
So I'm but you haven't heard anything about this yet, but I'm sure there's going to be some condemning of Israel's actions, because they're not just defending themselves anymore. Now they're on the attack and looking to make a significant impact on Hezbollah. Leave us alone, or okay, yeah, but in Israel's defense, they are broadcasting, "We're about to bomb the city. You might want to get out." So they're they're trying to be nice. They're trying to be nice. If you're in the city, that means you support Hezbollah, and we're going to bomb it. And if you stick around, you're on your own. But you should leave now. So
yeah, I mean it's the same thing we did in Fallujah. Well, I mean we told everybody to leave.
Yep.
Those that were left were going to get taken down, and that's pretty much what happened. So good for Israel and taking a stance and doing it. Awesome.
Yep.
Anything else, Vic?
Hold on a second. Let's see if I got anything else. No, I don't think so. No, I'm good. I'm out. I yield the rest of my time.
All right, very well. All right.
And what's sad about that with Israel, though, they have the right to defend themselves. They have that absolute right. It's no different than any of us. But what's sad is, like you said, they're actually saying, "Hey, we're coming here. So if you don't support that, you need to go that direction." But that's not what people see. And there's a church in this area that literally has a big, the big, I say neon, but it's a sign out off the road, and it flat out says, "We support Israel." And that poor church has been ridiculed for that. And I'm like, I mean, do you honestly understand what you're fighting against when you're saying that Israel's wrong? I mean, people just don't seem to get it. Maybe we don't understand 100% either, but they have a right to defend themselves.
Absolutely.
And the sad thing is the people in the country they may not support what they have, but they don't have a choice. They don't have a voice, and they're having to, unfortunately, reap what Israel's given to them, because that's what their government and the terrorists in that country are supporting.
Yeah.
And it is sad, in all honesty, but I don't know.
It's a very awkward political and religious collision over the land of Israel.
Absolutely,
because that land is the birthplace of Christianity, Judaism, and they believe Muslim. So like all three religions think that they have a right to that land. And the Palestinians and Hezbollah and whatever believe they think that they're trying to take back their land when they're attacking Israel. And Israel's like, we're just partying and having a good time, and you attacked and raped and killed kids and people, and now you fuck around and find out, and now you're finding out. You know.
Well, that's one of the big things that also, but I mean, they're also, you know, I've read several articles over the years, but you know, and that's one thing Israel has done extremely well is getting water out of the damn desert, you know, and that's what Palestine and all them are like, hey, you know, how, you know, you have all this water, but we have none, you know, you're willing to make us die over here. And it's like, okay, well, you know, what's the give and the take? You know, quit killing us, we'll give you some water. I don't know if it's that easy. You know, I don't, you know, I know Mark has some insight. I'm pretty sure he does.
So the Jewish people were in that region and that exact area for thousands of years before there was Christianity, and then even thousands of years later when the Muslim, you know, thing came into be. So and after World War I, the League of Nations did assign that area, you know, and it was all the countries that were in the League of Nations at the time, you know, after World War I, said it was their area. They went out in the middle of the desert. They, like I said, they made water. They used desalination plants. They use irrigation. They built that desert into, you know, a livable area. And, you know, even when they did give some of that area to the Palestinians, it was already set up with the desalination plants, with hydroponic gardens, you know, where they could survive. But they did not want to maintain it, and they let it all just rot away. And so that's why they don't have nothing there now, because they let it rot away, and then they just used whatever money they did have to prepare to attack Israel. And just like I said, they fooled around and found out. You know, they attacked, and you know Israel's went above and beyond to try to work with the Palestinians, but they do not want anything, because there's nothing in their charter, the Palestinians, to have a two-state solution. You know, our Democratic politicians keep preaching and harping on this two-state solution that they demand that Israel has. Well, Israel has proposed it, but the Palestinians will not accept. Yeah. They will only accept the annihilation of Israel. And you can't.
Yeah, very true.
Can't cohabitate with a snake like that. That has to be eradicated.
Oh yeah.
You know, the worst part, the sad thing when it comes down to religion is how all these religions still share the same background. You know, that's the crazy thing. I mean, it's just, I mean, you're willing to kill us for this, but then the world's against us because we're willing to fight back. You know, there's only one way to deal with a bully. And that's, you know, unfortunately, that's just how I look at it. I mean,
but it's true.
You got to go in and you got to take the bully out. That's all there is to it. But I guess that's how they look at Israel. And it's like, just leave us alone and we'll leave you alone. Just, that's all they ask, is just leave us alone.
Yeah.
Well, nowhere else in the Middle East can a Muslim, a Christian, and a Jewish person serve in the government anywhere else except in Israel. Is the Israeli government is full of Jewish people, Christians, and Muslims who've been duly elected. Nowhere else. You can't go to another country like Egypt and be Jewish and be elected.
Yeah, very true.
But you can in Israel.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I always go back to God's chosen people. You don't mess with God's chosen people. Because if you do, hellfire and brimstone. That's all I can
Yep.
say.
Yep.
You get what you ask for. So, all right. Well, let's have some good news with Mike.
Good news with Mike. I need to go see these intros you have posted online. I didn't get a chance
I
to
know.
see them. Where
Yeah,
are
I
they
didn't
at?
have it. I didn't have
Where
a
did
chance
you
to pull
post
them up
them at?
either.
They're on the podcast. It's your intro for your section on the podcast. You got it.
It's on
You got to go
your-
back and watch it.
You got it on the face pages, as you call it, or what?
I've been having a hard time posting on the face pages to upload a video. So what I've been doing is the link. So if anybody out there is watching, go to whatever streaming service, download the podcast from the streaming service. That's the easier way, because sometimes I have service and sometimes I do not. Or good enough service. I usually have service, but I can text or make a phone call, but I can't upload a video.
Yeah.
So
Clearly,
Gotcha.
you
well,
have forgotten.
at least an
You
hour
don't have
long
enough
video.
bandwidth.
Yeah.
It's you have forgotten, Andrew. It's Marvelously Merry News with Mike McNany.
Yeah.
Dang it. You know what? I didn't make that change. Mike, this podcast specifically, I'll change your intro to
Marvelous
that.
Merry News
What
with Mike
was it
McNany.
again?
Marvelous
Merry News
with Mike
with
McNany.
Mike McNany. Okay.
Well,
Got you.
that just doesn't fit with me, man. So I don't know if that's a good thing.
No,
or
I
not.
think it's perfect. Look at your smiling face, and as you're frozen on a very not smiling face right now.
Oh man.
Well,
He does
until we get Mike back, just a sad bit of news before we get the good news is
Yeah.
Chris Christopherson passed away today.
I did see that. Yeah, before we started.
Yes. Yes, my wife
88
just
years
came in and
old.
told me that. No kidding,
88 years old. Wow.
He did pretty good. All those years of traveling in a band and no telling what type of drugs and alcohol and all that type of stuff. He did pretty good. 88. Maybe that's the secret.
Yeah.
He was an Army veteran too, so
Yeah.
Army veteran.
Look at Keith Richards.
Oh yeah, Keith Richards is another example. He's preserved.
Yes. He's pickled.
Must be. Must be.
That's good. That's good.
Now good
All
news.
right.
So
So
now
you're
good
ready for
news.
some marvelous news? Marvelous news with Vick.
It's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, because I'm not used to it. So, anyways, I came across this article a couple of days ago, but a man that was kidnapped 73 years ago was finally reunited with his dying brother.
What?
73
A
years
man
ago,
that was
he was kidnapped from Oakland, California.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
In 1951.
Wow.
He was
Well, how
a
did he
6-year-old
find out?
boy. He was kidnapped from California playground more than 70 years ago. Has finally been found thanks to determination of his niece that he had never met. Making headlines all over the world, Luis Armando Albino was reunited with his lost family members when they discovered he was living on the East Coast thanks to a DNA test his niece took and found out that she was 22% related to someone that lived on the East Coast. Story begins in 1951 when Albino and his brother Roger were on a playground in West Oakland. A woman in a red bandana arrived in the van and said in Spanish that she would buy Luis some candy. Instead, she kidnapped him and flew him somewhere on the East Coast, where he was raised with a family that he never knew, but he was raised as their son.
No kidding.
In 1951?
Yes.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So the
Especially for that
diabolical
time.
plot was succeeded in spades for the kidnappers, and despite Albino's mother never giving up on ever seeing him again, 73 years passed with him being separated by an entire continent. The story first broke in Oakland. The Oakland Tribune reports from the time when his brother Roger had been interrogated, well, initially when he was kidnapped by police several times, and the story has always seemed regarding the same woman in a bandana. A massive search party was organized, but they never found him, and the military was included also because Albino was no longer on the West Coast.
Mm.
So the first inkling that Luis Albino might be alive was picked up by his 63-year-old Aliquin Albino's sister's daughter, so his niece, because he had a sister too, a brother and a sister, but his brother was at the playground with him. Just for fun, his niece took a commercially available DNA test and found she matched 22% with an individual on the East Coast. She tried to reach out because she couldn't get information. She tried to reach out. Nothing would go. She couldn't get anything. So she went to the Oakland Police Department and talked to them about it, which convinced them that they had a new substantial lead because the case had never been officially closed.
Oh, wow.
And she even managed to find a photo from the Oakland Tribune story on his kidnapping, showing his picture because she had no pictures of him.
Whoa.
A missing persons case was opened, and the FBI even got involved and prescribed DNA tests to Albino and Aliquin's mother, meaning his sister, the abducted man. On the 20th of June of this year, investigators went to her mother's home, and they told her that they had actually found her uncle, which was the missing man.
That's amazing.
He said, after all these years, we couldn't believe it. I never gave up hope. His mother and father, unfortunately, passed away before they got to see him. His father had passed away. But Luis was able to travel to Oakland with the help of the FBI. Actually arranged everything for Roger, his sister, and his niece to see his brother. A lifetime had passed since
Wow.
Luis had seen his brother. Luis, who was the one who was kidnapped, had joined the Marine Corps, served in Vietnam, and was also a retired firefighter. He was also a father as well as a grandfather. Luis flew back home to the East Coast, but then turned around 3 weeks later in August, this August, to visit his brother Roger again, just to have his brother pass away 3 weeks later.
Oh, no way.
But they all say, his niece says, I hope this is a story of inspiration, that please don't ever give up.
No kidding. Wow.
That's, it was a feel-good story for the fact that they actually got to be reunited. But it's, it's
Absolutely.
sad. It's just unbelievable what people in the world will do at that point, so, but he spent his whole life, 73
It's
years.
amazing to me that there's, what is it? You had the Epstein stuff, right? With the taking people and things like that. Child, what is it called? Help me out here. Trafficking.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, child trafficking and stuff. And then you also have now P. Diddy. I don't know how young or whatever his were, but you have all kinds of crazy people out there, and now we're finding out that it's famous people.
Yeah.
Just for the record, the whole QAnon thing, they predicted this like 2 years ago, that all these famous people are going to be coming out as sex traffickers like 2 and 3 years ago.
They're a terrible organization.
Wow.
Yeah, that QAnon stuff was very interesting when all that was. I guess it's still going, isn't it? I don't know. I haven't paid attention. I don't know. But it's very interesting, and it's amazing that it's all actually coming out and coming true.
Yep.
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hijink your story. It was just the kidnapping thing, and
no, you're fine.
Made me think of that.
That's actually a story that unfortunately it took all those years, and family, family members have passed away and never got to see at that point. But the fact that, she's not a little girl. I mean, she's an older woman now, but, the way the article read, it didn't specifically say it, but it was his DNA was on file. It's not like he went through 23andMe or something and did
right.
DNA, but his DNA was on file and it was able to be tracked at that point, which is scary in its own sense, but it was amazing how it connected them back together at that point.
Yeah.
To his brother and, what family he had that he didn't even know anymore.
That is some marvelously merry news. Yes.
Yeah, it is. Marvelous Merry news with Mike McNany. I'm telling you. Absolutely. I like your facial hair you got going on there, Mike.
Yeah, I got to get rid of it. I got to get rid of it.
No.
I don't want to offend Mark because Mark has a saying on that, and I don't.
I know we don't know what the saying is yet.
You gotta wait for Aaron.
As soon as Aaron gets back,
your bearded veteran post on Facebook. I put my picture on there. What I have looked like when I had the actual goatee, but I didn't have any good beard pictures. So,
well, it's okay. Any facial hair, mustache, beard. I guess I should clarify that, shouldn't I?
No, not necessarily. Yeah. I thought I had a picture of me with a beard, but it,
Yeah.
Essentially, when I had a goatee, I could sit there and do this with it. I was getting ready to put rubber bands in it, but I decided not.
Were you gonna like braid it and stuff?
Yeah, I was gonna be like Jack Sparrow. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Be like,
you have to get a cool pirate hat if you're gonna.
I was gonna hop and skip around the front yard. I was like.
You do that anyways. I know. Merry Mike, he's out there skipping around out in his front yard.
But everything's all white. I used to be like Vick, where Vick's got this, like dark, and it used to be dark all the way down, and all I had in the center was white. Now it's like, oh, shit, it's all white now, so I don't care.
Well, I'm going to get to the point where I can braid mine, but it's going to take like 6 years. You see this? I haven't shaved in a week.
Shut up.
I'm not kidding. I haven't shaved in a week. This is all I got. I mean, you can't even.
Yeah, what I got is I have bald patches all over me, but that's like 7-8 days that I haven't shaved here. So this just keeps going.
And I'm 51 years old and, shaved, almost daily for 24 years in the Marine Corps. And I still can't grow this little patch on either side. My beard does not connect to my hair.
Well, that's how they do it now. You just shave your head, and then you gotta have it fade up. That's the craze now.
True.
With all that.
You're a trendsetter. Yeah. You didn't even know it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife told me before she left to go on the cruise. She goes, "Are you gonna shave your face by the time I get back?" I was like, "Probably not. Why?" She goes, "I don't like you with all that on there. I like a week's worth of stubble, and that's it. Just you need to get rid of it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah."
Yeah, we'll see him next.
You change some things on that
podcast. He'll fix it. So, hey, the wife wins every time.
Yeah, I'll be.
I don't care what anybody says.
I'll be like a little kid sitting here, like. No, the big thing with me is I got to clean my neck up, and I don't do it because I get lazy, and then I'm always like sitting there doing that until it grows up. Yeah.
See, mine never did itch. Like it never bothered me. I don't know why.
See, Mark doesn't like beards. He doesn't want a beard. I just wish I had Mark's hair. I mean, I wish I could like.
Oh God! Very nice.
I was looking at pictures the other night because Kelly had them on her phone. It was on an old camera we had and downloaded it, and there's pictures from like 2007, 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there, and our kids were little. And she goes, "What happened to this guy?" And I mean, I had hair on my head. I had the.
I don't think I have ever seen you with hair.
No, I had the damn horseshoe. That was my call to fame, was the damn horseshoe. Yeah, but I had hair on my head and everything else. It was actually pictures when we were in Minnesota at Red Wing. and I actually had hair
No
on my
kidding.
head. I still shaved, but I had the
Yeah,
little.
who all had a horseshoe?
I had the little
I had a
patch down
horseshoe.
here. Oh, horseshoe was the way to go. I see. Mark
Yeah,
had
I
a
had
horseshoe.
one.
I know Mark had
Did
a
you have a
horseshoe.
horseshoe?
Never.
You didn't have a horseshoe, Mark?
No.
Really? What about you, Vic?
I tried to do a flat top for a little while, but never a horseshoe. Every time I attempted a horseshoe, I'd be, standing next to Chuck Eddy, and I'm like, I'm never going to make it look like that. I just quit. Yeah.
Yeah, there were specific barbers. Didn't matter where you were. It was like only one that could do a horseshoe.
Yeah.
And outside
you
of
had
that,
to
it's
find
like,
that
as soon as
one
you walked in,
special
you're like,
barber.
son of a bitch, I got to have you come. I'm like, all right, just high and tight. Go, just high and tight. And I finally got to the point of Pendleton. I was like,
Stop perpetrating that
I'm
fraud.
done.
Just cut it off.
I'm done.
Yeah, when I was out in 29 Palms, I was going to this place called Barbara Judy's, $4 haircuts. And she used to be she was in like an Asian model before she started cutting hair. All right. And she had some other interesting tools in her repertoire of cutting hair. I was like, well, can you do a horseshoe? And she's like, I try. Like I kept trying to do horseshoes, but she would like take those things and put them right up on my shoulders while she's over top my head. I'm like,
yeah, she was giving you a massage. I mean,
that
was part of what you were paying
she
for.
was.
Like,
and I'm like, well, the horseshoe sucks. The horseshoe sucks. Let's just go with a flat top. So I was getting flat tops for about 2 years at Barbara Judy's, and man, it was great flat tops.
That off of Four Corners. What was that called? Four Corners? The first
Four
real
Corners.
intersection? Four Corners, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because they used to you go in there and get a haircut, and they give, literally
Give you the massage.
razor, like shave your head.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden they got shut down for that because somebody got hepatitis or something. And then they opened back up. And then, yeah, they're like, oh, no more razor shaving. No. It's like, okay.
As far as I know, they still shave like razor shave in North Carolina down by Camp Lejeune. If I'm not mistaken. When I was there, the guy he'd bick my head like it was cool, but with a straight razor.
Yeah, I never got any haircut massages there, Vic. So I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Really? You're missing out. Not you, Mark. You know you did. You spent time in Okinawa, didn't you, Mark?
Don't put Mark in that position. Don't do that to Mark.
You spent time in Okinawa.
Don't put Mark in that
you
position.
got the Okinawa massage. You just slap your head around and stuff.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. It was always good.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, is that supposed to feel good?
I have a concussion leaving it.
Yeah.
You remember that in Iraq?
Yeah.
In Iraq, at Blue Diamond, all of a sudden they had got that damn trailer in there, and there was like two dudes in there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
all of a sudden, that son of a gun, man, he went to town. It was like, yeah, he
Mr. Miyagi. He Mr. Miyagi'd it, man. He got so excited he shut himself down. You see that?
Yeah, Al-Assad. There was a couple of barbers in Al-Assad that did that too, man. You'd go to get your hair cut, and there was always an hour long or hour and a half, sometimes 2 hour long wait, because every motherfucker in front of you was tipping those guys a little extra to give a 5-minute massage.
Yeah.
Like you got your full battle rattle on the whole time you're walking around in Al-Assad. You finally get a chance to take off your flak and your 180 rounds that you're carrying, and when those guys start going, oh. I didn't even care. I was confident in my masculinity. I didn't give a shit. Yeah. Ooh, man.
Oh my God, that's good. How did we get on haircuts?
Oh, I don't know.
That's
but
pretty good.
The best haircut I ever got was when I was on recruiting duty. I was in Columbus, Ohio. And I was in recruiting duty for maybe 6 months, and it was like my first time in Columbus, and I needed a haircut, so I looked up haircut places, and there's a open market place in Columbus that is amazing, by the way, And at the very end of the market, they had a barber, a 2-chair barber. So I go over there and I walk in, and as soon as I walk in, there is a guy sitting behind his barber chair, nobody waiting in line. And then I look right, and there is a woman with the same attributes as Barbara Judy, cutting hair, but like she was like she was doing face shaves. So like she like actual shaving guys, but like would lay the guys all the way back and then lean over top of them and shave. So there was like 12 guys waiting in line to get their haircut from her. And I'm like, well, fuck, I don't have time for this. So I went to go get this haircut. I said, all right, like, you got anybody waiting? And he just kind of looked at me. No. All right, I was just asking. So I sit down, and then I found out why nobody. We know why there were nobody there, but he was a one-legged barber, and he completely shaved my. He was completely shaved my entire head with a straight razor, and it was the best haircut I ever had. He never stood up. He never stood up. He just cut from this little stool. But like, whipped me around to one side, whipped me around to the other side, whipped me around. But he shaved my whole head. Like, I mean, it was a wonderful haircut. I loved it.
Did he pump you up with his fake leg, or did he pump you up with the?
Click, click, click.
Got my head shaved by a one-legged barber.
That should be a song. That should be a song right there. Oh man, that's good. That's good. Well, hey, you guys got anything else you want to talk about before we close this thing out?
No, I don't think so.
No.
We have another update on your cigar, Vic.
Well,
yeah.
It's a great tasty cigar, and when they say that these cigars are worth savoring, absolutely. I still have quite a bit left. For being a Lancero, it's smoking pretty slow. Usually Lanceros smoke pretty quick because they're such a thin, small cigar, but it's smoking slow. But not necessarily characteristic of Opus X's. It's got a little bit of a nicotine kick to it. So also causing me to take my time with it. If you ever guys, I know Mike, they may or may not have them at your gas station. But if you ever see them, I highly recommend Opus X in any version of an Opus X. They're great cigars. And if you see them, buy 2 and ship them to me, and I'll pay you back.
Noted. That's good. I like it. All right. Well, let's jump
that
into...
baby hadn't burned, like, just ignited.
I know,
it just 10 years old. It's like...
Actually, it's gone out on me like 3 times.
Then you've done a really good job with your humidor.
That's a damn awesome cigar right there.
But well, I mean, it's part of my curse. I don't know what it is, but it's like I don't know if it's how I smoke cigars. I mean, me and all the guys at the cigar lounge, like the first couple of years that I was at the cigar, going to the cigar lounge and becoming a regular, we spent several years analyzing how I smoke cigars, and nobody can figure out. I have cigars habitually go out 2, 3, 4 times sometimes while I'm smoking cigars, and nobody can figure out why. Like, is it my light? Is the way I'm lighting cigars correctly? I'm smoking them correctly. You guys watching me, I'm sitting there huffing on it, and all of a sudden it's out. This happens to almost every cigar that I smoke, regardless of how long it's been in my humidor or whatever. I don't know what, regardless of size, regardless of length, it doesn't matter. It just, my cigars always go out. I don't know why. Nobody can figure it out. And I've asked the best. I've asked the pros. What am I doing wrong? Nobody can figure it out.
That's what she said.
Regardless of length, regardless of girth.
Doesn't matter. Whatever.
Matter how moist it is.
Yeah, the flame keeps going out.
Still goes out. Dang. We got to figure that out.
Maybe there may be it may be because it's been in the humidor for 10 years, but Opus X's are normally a very oily cigar. So oily cigars, you can light them and they will stay lit like a torch because there's the oils in the wrapper that are burning. This is not doing that. So maybe some of the oil has leached out over the last 10 years. So maybe my humidor wasn't perfect conditions. I mean, but it's like when you're moving
it
across
didn't
country,
go up in flames.
yeah, it's
So,
not dry, you're right. But when you're moving across country, trying to pay attention to what's going on in your humidor and you're making a cross country trek, it's sometimes it can be challenging. So maybe it dried out a little bit. But
you
it's not
say
great.
you use oil for your humidor, Vic. What oil do you use?
It's called glycol.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
But it's like it's thinner than baby oil. I mean, it like if you like pour some in your hand, it feels like water, but they call it oil. But yeah, that's what you put it because it takes more time for it to evaporate because it's a very thin oil. But that's what they recommend for humidors.
Yeah, I'd reached out to you about humidors, and you had given me a recommendation because my son all of a sudden he's got this interest in cigars, which is fine. I'm fine with it. I like a good cigar too, other than Swisher Sweets and Black and Milds. Yes, I do enjoy a cigar, but we were on this last cruise in August, and he's like, "Oh, I want to get cigars," and he wanted to buy a damn humidor in Jamaica, and they were like $200-300.
Oh, God.
I was like, no. I was like, oh, you dude. I no. But we got him one for his birthday here this month, but it said use the glycol whatever, or if not, then use only use distilled water.
Correct.
Any humidifier, but he was like, well, should I use a distilled water? Do I need to order that? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. I bought you the damn humidor. That's up to you to figure out what. He goes, well, it says I have to season it, and I have to set the humidifier, not the humidifier, but the barometer. I have to do, I was like, I don't know, dude. I mean,
dude, it is way easier. It is way easier to go and just get a cigarello or a Black and Mild.
He got his
easier.
distilled water, and he soaked his, the humidifier and did everything, but I don't think he's put anything in it yet at that point. So that's been 2 weeks now. So it said, even in the instructions said, wait 2 to 3 weeks to figure out what the climate is, and then look at it and decide. But
there's a company out there called Bovita. And they're basically little packets. They're like osmosis packets, so they're like breathable. What they put them in, but it's like a gel inside this packet. And when you crack open the cellophane wrapper that it's in, all you do is just throw it in your humidor. And when it dries out, actually you can get a subscription to Bovita, and they will send you a packet once every 3 months. So when about 3 months is when that packet will have dried out, and so about when it's about ready to throw away, you just throw it away. Bovita will send you another one every 3 months. So when it comes in the mail, you throw out the old one, you put in the new one.
Gotcha.
But
it works really good, actually.
Yeah. And you don't even need a humidor. You can throw it in with like a Ziploc bag. So if you have extra cigars that don't fit in your humidor, you can put them in a Ziploc bag with a Bovita pack, and they'll be fine. But Bovita, they have packs, the little packets that are like 85% to season your humidor. And then you just throw it in there for 2 weeks and it will season your humidor. Get the wood will start, the moisture will absorb into the wood. And then after that, then you get like 70 or 72%, depending on your local climate. If you have a very dry climate, like if you're in the desert, or Arizona or something like that, you get the 72 packs. Here in the Southeast, you don't need them. There's enough humidity in the air that you don't need them. But also tell him that he needs to get some just cheap brick cigars. You just go get like I don't know, like Brick House or some cheap ass cigars.
Hey, easy on throwing Brick House under the bus.
But we call them brick cigars because they sell them in bricks of like 40 cigars.
Yeah, like pack. Yeah.
But you just put them in your humidor, and it's like a refrigerator. Like you don't want to leave a refrigerator running with nothing in it, right? Same thing with your humidor. You want to make sure that your humidor is at least 50% full of cigars.
Yeah, he doesn't have 50% of cigars in it. I promise you that. So, Well, if
Just
you
went
don't
out
mind,
again.
if you don't mind, I may. We can talk about this all after the podcast. But I may say, if you don't mind, I may give them contact info and tell them to reach out
Yeah,
and say, "Hey,
yeah, tell them to look me up on Facebook, and we can start chatting about it.
all righty." Sorry, Mark, I didn't mean to hijack everything. And
Doesn't bother me.
So Mark is going to make his comeback because we have reached the time. It is time. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Are you sure? All right. Vic, you go first.
Wait. I got to pull it up.
Okay, never mind. Mike, go first. Vic
all
is
right.
not ready.
I'd rather regret the things I've done than the things I haven't.
That's good. Who said that?
Lucille Ball.
What? No kidding.
Wow,
Huh.
yeah.
That's good though. I like it. Say it one more time. I like that.
I'd rather regret the things I've done than the things that I haven't.
Yeah, that's good. I'd agree with that. All right, Vic, are you ready now?
Yeah, I sent this out to the group, but it's worth putting out there online. Friendship is like peeing your pants. Everyone can see it, but only you can feel the warm feeling inside. Thanks to all of you for being the pee in my pants. Appreciate you.
Oh my God. That was pretty good though. I gotta admit it. That was good. And I'm sure that was on the face pages. Is that where you found that? Where you found that?
I think I found it on Instagram actually, but yeah, it's
The Insta pages?
the Insta pages,
All right.
yes.
All right. Very well. Well, Mark, surely you can beat Vic's Insta page.
Okay.
Peeing in your pants thing.
Well, if at first you don't succeed, skydiving's probably not for you.
I mean, that is a good point.
That's a good one. I like that.
Oh,
Skydiving is not for you.
It's not your bag. Not your bag.
Yeah.
oh man.
My God. That's perfect. I love it. You always
That's an
come
old
up with
Irish
a
saying
zinger.
too. I've heard that before. Yeah, that's an old Irish saying.
An old Irish saying. Oh my God. You got me crying over here. All right. That was good. That was good. All right. To all the listeners out there, if you're struggling and need some help, anything like that, be sure you reach out. The VA does have some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255 or go to veteranscrisisline.net. Click on that chat icon. Any of those options are going to put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But always remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. The crew cares about you. The entire veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, you have nothing, no issues, then reach out to those guys that you served with. Ask them how they're doing. And if they need help, give them that helping hand. All right, with that, guys, thanks. I appreciate it. You guys rock. I don't care what Krista says about you. I mean, you guys are awesome. To all the listeners out there, stay motivated, change your socks.
Change your socks.